Sonic Nova. Coming at you live from Spreaker Internet Radio, where we put a new spin on spiritual development.
Welcome everybody to Surfing the Cosmic Waves with your host Sonic Nova, where we put a new spin on spiritual development and paranormal activities. We're here to enlighten and brighten your lives with all sorts of amazing and inspirational and eye-opening subjects that we cover on the show. So, tonight I wanted to talk to you guys about all this paranormal activity that I've been getting that's been pretty insane with a lot of different people and all kinds of different, I'm not going to be channeling today, the ascended masters and the higher beings, at least for the first segment of the show. I may do it at the second segment of the show, but what I would love to do is to have people's participation. If you're here listening to the show, tune in, because I'm going to talk about some very interesting stuff that I've been experiencing, and hopefully you guys will experience it as well with me. So since I don't have any people here that are on the literal show asking me questions and stuff, I'm going to talk about the last 3 or 4 weeks, the intensity and the amount of entity removal. And that's what I called the show, as we talked about. You know, your religious sects call it exorcism. I really call it entity removal. And when I talk, and I like to talk about the different types of entities that I'm encountering, anywhere from astral entities to, there's 3 or 4 different kinds. So that there's the astral, right, from the astral plane, which are your, commonly, they're demons, energy vampires, I will call them that, incubuses, succubuses. There's a whole variety of, if you have read Stephen King, I'm sure you're familiar with him, then you have a whole plethora, right, of entities like that are astral entities that do come into our realm, the physical realm that we live in, and then they do vacate, thank God. And that's part of what I've been doing all week, is removing a ton of entities from different people. So that's one type of entity. Then there's interdimensional entities that are the inner dimensions that are within this planet, which is really kind of interesting, right? Because you're talking about interdimensional creatures that either could be, and I have seen them, they're somewhat etheric and they're kind of like Middle Earth type of entities. And they're really more based here, they're more from the inner dimensions of the planet. And there's a whole variety of them as well. So from your gnomes to your elves to your all different kinds. And it is kind of a mix of etheric and physical. And then there's the third kind of entities that I have experienced, which are the ETs, there's the extra dimensionals, which are the outer dimensions off of planet Earth, and that really to me is more like, and when we're talking about entities, we're not really talking about the angelic realm, so let's keep that separate. We're more talking about the ET extraterrestrials, which are from other planets, as well as, what can I call them, and other star systems that actually are dimensional beings that kind of are not physicalized, like literally seeing them, but they are on the airwaves, almost like this radio show is on an airwave. It's the same thing with them. So those are the extra dimensional beings and the multi-dimension, and they are multi-dimensional. And I can put in that category the good ETs and the bad ones. For us, we look at them as good or bad because we live in a dualistic realm, right? In a dualistic planet. So I want to touch upon that because I've had a lot of, lately, it's been a huge amount of activity, of ET activity. I'm also going to talk about implants, like implants that I'm finding in people, energetic implants, physical implants. So we're going to talk about that as well, because that affects all of us. And it affects basically all of humanity at this point. I'm finding the old ET technology that was the old implants from the Zeta Reticuli, which are what you call the grays, all the way through to this new implants that I'm finding that I was working on one of my clients, and that's why I was late for my show. That's the trippy part. But that is this new technology that's kind of like a layered implant technology, and it is kind of mixed with entities. So this is a very interesting case I was just working on, which I think you guys will find quite interesting as well. And I'm finding that things are really getting cranked up. I usually am able to remove stuff very quickly, but this is a new technology that I'm learning, and learning how to clear it and get rid of it. Anyhow, just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and I wanted to talk also about the other kind of occurrences that are happening a lot lately are poltergeist. And not only poltergeist that I have found in people's homes. And poltergeist is a German word actually that means many ghosts, many entities, okay, that are plaguing somebody's house. But I had a session just it was yesterday, or no, it was the day before yesterday, that literally this person was plagued. I'm not kidding you guys. This woman was plagued with entities like you would find in a house that's been poltergeist. So I'm just finding more and more anomaly and anomaly factor kind of stuff, like this poltergeisting that I'm finding not only in people's bodies, but I'm also finding it in these weird situations, I guess, if you want to call them that, that it's being experienced in all sorts of different strange ways. So let's talk about that, and I do want to talk on the subject of entities that are astral entities. The best approach with those entities is basically to hire somebody like me that actually can extract them. The other approach, that while you're trying to, figure out a way how to get rid of it, I will tell you I'll let you guys in on a little secret. If your body's really toxic and your body's pretty acidic, you are going to be a pretty good host for these astral entities. Isn't that interesting? So you need to do things for your body that will alkalinize it and make it more neutral, as well as your house. These entities cannot live in an alkaline environment, and they can't really attack an alkaline environment. Isn't that interesting? So if it's acidic, they can come in and put implants. They can do all sorts of weird, icky stuff. So I wanted to give you guys that and give you an idea what you can do. In case you guys are not, and I've never used this platform to advertise my website, but I do want to put it forth to you guys in case you do have a really bad case, regardless of whether it's a person, several people, a home that's plagued, a hotel, a guest house, whatever it may be, and you want to get rid of it, you definitely can contact me through my website. You could go to sonicnova.net, and you could actually look at the page that actually is the best page to go to would be the phone Skype consultation, because that'll show you pictures and images of the services that I have for haunted hotels, haunted houses, individual personal spirit extraction sessions, which do have to do with speaking to, sometimes these extractions, a lot of them have to do with removing not only entities that are astral, but let's talk about ghosts, shall we? Because that's one aspect that I haven't discussed with you guys. So some of my cases that I've been dealing with lately have been a mix of things. They haven't been just singly astral entities. And the astral entities, like I said, are what we perceive as like vampires, werewolves, wraiths, that sort of demons, all sorts of flavors of demons, to the bizarre, to like, I just removed an astral entity off this guy that I was just working on that looked like an octopus. Is that weird or what? And it was totally astral. I could tell when it's astral because they just have a different vibrational frequency, and that's how I could tell one from the other, is their resonant frequency is different. But let's talk about ghosts, shall we? And this is a subject I haven't really broached with all of you guys, but I do want to broach it so I could have it play on my website and for you guys to replay it and to have an understanding. So I want to, one of the entities that I am the kindest to, and that I feel really a heartful like support for, are your ghosts. And I gotta, the people that actually go ghost hunting, excuse me, but it's kind of like you're very primitive, and you're what I call a flathead. And I'm sorry if I'm insulting some of you that actually do ghost hunting, because that puts the ghosts on the defensive. So I want to put you in their shoes. And how would you like it if you died, okay, and you were stuck here? Because that's what these ghosts are. Literally what they are is actually a human being that has left their body, that died, okay, and has no more body, and is stuck here on this plane, and they're trying to get our attention, like crazily trying to get our attention to actually help them. And instead, these ghost hunters, as they call themselves, are attacking like poor souls that haven't been able to transition. And to me, to approach, a being that is a consciousness, that's an awareness, that's why they can move things and they make rattling noises and do all that kind of stuff, is for God's sakes, they're trying to get our attention. And for us that are mediums, for us that are seers, for us that are able to see into the multidimensional realms, it's like, let's be kind to these beings, and I am very kind to them. And when I find them, I find that they're tortured souls, literally tortured spirits that are stuck here. And that's why it's so effortless for me to send them back home. And when I mean back home, that's another subject we'll talk upon, which is heaven. Any human being that, whether it has a body or doesn't, goes to heaven. That is our destiny. That is our ultimate destination, and that is really where we belong, and that's where we came from. So, we all go to heaven, regardless. The only reasons why people get tortured here and they become ghosts is because they don't feel that they even deserve to go to heaven, because their belief system is what's causing them to be stuck here. So for those of you that are questioning and listening to this edition of my radio show and going, well, how do they get stuck here? Well, it's very easy to get stuck here. If in the process of you dying, you have a belief system, okay, that you don't deserve to go to heaven, that you deserve to go to hell, you create your own hell. You create your own hell realm. And if at that moment where you're in the process of leaving your physical body and what I call graduating from the cocoon into the butterfly, you decide that you're non-deserving of going back home, well, guess what? You are going to get stuck here. You are going to get stuck here in this third-dimensional world, and you're going to be stuck around people that do have bodies. And for those of you that have enough energy, chi, as the Chinese call it, to be able to move things, you're going to scare the bejesus out of people. But the truth is that you're just a person that's stuck here. So those are the kind of things that I handle. Those are the kind of cases that I take care of and handle very gently and assist these beings, in going home and literally getting themselves back to heaven, because that's where they belong. So when we use terms like hunter, in exorcism. I know you guys are familiar with those, and that's the only reason why I'm using them on this show, is because people are more familiar with, let's exorcise these entities, these demons out of people's bodies. Well, that is like a direct attack. So you're going in there, attacking on attack mode. Well, guess what? When you go in there in attack mode, you ghost hunters and entity extract, you guys that actually are using those words like the word that I just used, exorcism, you're actually going in there in attack mode. So what do you think is going to happen to you guys? Do you think these entities are going to be nice to you, or are they going to attack you? Well, duh. Of course they're going to attack you. But if you're going in there as neutral, as a complete neutral being that's there to assist both parties, really, because that's what I see myself as. I don't see myself as the enemy of the entities and all these astral entities or interdimensionals. I go there in a very neutral state, because that's the only way that actually I'll be able to liberate people from these cases that come. Whether it's like I talked about, whether we're talking about a haunted house or a haunted hotel or a haunted individual, that's being haunted by, whether it's ghosts or all of these like different types of classes of entities, if you like, that exist. And if I go there in a very neutral state, guess what? Everything gets pretty clear, doesn't it? Everything gets moved, and the energy moves very quickly, and we're able to, like what I call extraction, and the worst word that I use for especially the ghosts, okay, which are humans, people, their souls, their spirits that are stuck here, I actually call them squatters, okay? Because they are literally squatting. Energetically, they're taking up that space, whether it's a haunted house, haunted hotel, or a person that they are haunting. Okay, and the only reason why they're haunting you is because they want to go home, and they missed the bus to go home. So when they were in the process of dying, of leaving their physical body and transferring over to heaven, because we all do, they were so emotionally paralyzed and believed that they didn't deserve to go there, that guess what? That's exactly what happened, and they got stuck here, and they didn't see the angels coming for them. They didn't see their family and their relatives that already had transitioned and went right to heaven. They didn't see them coming for them because they were so mindly perturbed that they were just in that horrible state. There's a great movie that I always make reference to that makes a very clear distinction and very real of this, and it's What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. And if you look at it, and you look at where his wife went, because she actually thought she was a bad, horrible person, that when she died, she didn't think, it's just another experience and I'm going to go to heaven. She was thinking, oh no, I did the bad thing. I killed myself. So she goes to hell. She damns herself in her own hell. So we do that. We literally damn ourselves into our own hell realm. But understand this, in the movie they show it as if she was in a hell realm there. There is no such thing. The hell realm is here. Yes, you guys heard me right. It's here, right here on earth. Because on earth we have duality. Do we not? I mean, think about it, you guys. You're definitely in a duality modality here. You're learning about good and bad, right and wrong, evil and good. It's all here happening simultaneously. This planet is a dualistic planet, okay? Where you have male, female, white, black. You have all these different paradigms of duality, and in heaven that doesn't exist. So I'm gonna basically, that part of the movie I didn't agree with. What they should have done is they should have showed that, and they did initially, like all that pain and suffering happens here because of the way we torture ourselves mentally and how we've been mind programmed. And that's the critical thing. So for those of you that don't buy the hell realm, I'm going to go to hell, and you know that you're going to go to heaven, you are. You create your own reality. So let's get back to these entities, because that's what the show is about. We'll leave that for another day, about creating reality and how we do that. But let's talk about if we're talking about ghosts, that's a very effortless thing for me to do, and I really appreciate when people need me to do that. It's such an awesome thing, because I get to treat the person that is here in physical form being tortured or their home, and I also get to actually treat the people that don't have a body, the disembodied souls, the poor tortured souls that have been here. Some of them have been here for a short time, some of them have been here for thousands of years stuck here. And they haven't figured a way. Well, the ones that I have encountered, the one that I encountered that was the oldest was probably 500 years, 600 years. That's a long time to be stuck here. And I know that without a body you don't really feel that. But all these places, let's talk about these haunted places, right? It's kind of like an energetic loop that keeps playing itself over and over and over again. And there's several places all over the place on the planet that these beings get stuck. They don't get stuck. They get themselves stuck because of their belief system. So it takes somebody that can see them and feel them to transmute them and make it easy for them to go to heaven. So just to give you an idea, I've been doing this work for a long time, but for the most part, I have to say that the last 6 months have gotten even more intensified, where I get more and more of these cases. And in most cases, I'll give you, and I hope this person doesn't mind, I'm not going to say who, but I had a case where this person had a curse, literally was cursed. And this curse was like a 300-year-old curse that her family had, okay? That actually she herself was cursed, okay? And her family was cursed. It's the trippiest thing. And it was like a 200, and it had to do with a curse. And this entity was attacking this person, and was attacking her life. And what I found is that was a mixture of a curse and an entity that was a spirit that actually cursed itself. That's the thing, you guys. You out there that are practicing the dark arts, you casters that practice the dark arts, watch out, man, because when you do this stuff for yourself or for others, you're casting it upon you. You don't realize that. You have no idea because you're so blind by it, but eventually it does catch up to you, and you will suffer the consequences of your karma and your karmic actions, of the actions that you take. So if you put out bad out there, you're going to get those bad seeds growing really fast all around you. So I'm just letting you guys know this was a case where she had entity. We removed entities, and it was also a spirit extraction. And this was human, a woman that was an African woman, and her family tree, one of her great-great-grandfathers had killed this child this woman had, and she cursed all the women in that family. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because this was a restless soul, okay, a restless spirit that was stuck here on earth, and that was buried with all her hoodoo voodoo stuff, because she wanted to curse the females in this family forever. As long as she existed and wasn't pulverized, this was going to continue. And what was so interesting about it is when I finally made contact with this restless soul, for removing this curse on this person and her family, and showed her how her daughter had been waiting for her for 300 years. The daughter has not reincarnated. She was waiting in heaven for her mom, because the little girl did make it to heaven, like that fast, okay? Mom, not so much, because she was angry when this man killed her daughter, and all she wanted was revenge. And she was a very powerful voodoo practitioner, okay? So what ended up happening in the end, which kind of blew my mind, is that I finally was able to go into her where they had buried her, and I found the articles that she had used for voodoo, and this woman tripped out, because this case was a really interesting case, you guys. This woman, literally, I told her that 2 days before she came to me, I was wondering who was going to come, because I had a precognitive vision of that spirit that was, stuck here, the one that was the voodoo practitioner, the woman, the mom of the child, and I could see the woman and the child dangling on her, and I also saw the voodoo necklace that she used to cast this curse on this family. And 2 days later, this girl shows up. And I immediately was able to connect the two. I immediately knew. And then she said, you know what's the weirdest thing? Is like I went to a psychic like 4 or 5 years ago that she said that she saw this necklace that looked kind of like a rosary. And I was like, oh, well, it's not quite a rosary. It was more like a voodoo. I saw it as more like beads, like the glass African beads. And I saw it also, that's why I knew I was like in Africa. And also there were seeds from a tree. And she was using that, she used that to cast this curse on this girl and her whole family, and she was really suffering from it, as well as some of her, and it was on the father's side, not the mother's side. But what was so interesting is that I finally remove and get rid of all of the voodoo stuff, right? And I do have helpers that help me do that, so don't think that it's just me that's doing this. I have a whole like legion, if you like, of archangels, and I can go on and on, of higher level beings that assist me in cleaning all this stuff up. And after we removed, I'll say we because there were several of us, removed these articles, she was the spirit that was disturbed by all this. I finally talked to her, and I literally was able to have a conversation with her, and she was not aggressive with me because I wasn't attacking her, you know. I was very neutral, and I said, you know, I said, do you want to reunite yourself with your daughter? And this woman was like, that's all I've wanted. That's all I've wanted for this long time, this long period that I've been stuck here. And I said, well, can I show you something? And she's like, yeah. And I said, look, turn around and look up there. And her daughter, literally, I could see her hands like going towards her mom, trying to pull her mom up to heaven. And I said, do you want to go home? And she goes, well, I've done some pretty bad things. And I said, you know, you belong there. You don't belong here. And she said, I want more than anything, I want to reunite with my daughter. I said, well, before I send you home, I want you to do something. Because you're the only one that, besides me, but I need your help to break this curse. This familial curse is what I call it. And this woman was like, I want nothing more than that. And what was amazing is, I said, great, you and I, do you forgive? Can you in your heart forgive yourself for doing this and forgive the man that hurt you and hurt your daughter? Can you actually do that? And the woman started having tears in her eyes because she was literally seeing her daughter in heaven waiting for her and putting her arms out and tears in the daughter's eyes for her mom to come, for them to reunite. They were some sort of like, they were like soulmates. You know, and they've been separated, and I can understand the pain and suffering that this woman had, but to curse this family, she literally, and I told her that, I said, before I sent her home to heaven, I said, you know, you literally cursed yourself. You didn't just do damage to this family, you have done damage. And you've done damage to innocent people that had nothing to do with that event, you know, that you put into causation, you put into motion. And that this curse itself has caused you to be a prisoner here for the last 300 years. And that you and your daughter could not reunite because of this curse and the hate that you had in your heart. So are you ready to purify that hurt, that hate? And I will be happy to help you absolve it. And I looked at her, and this woman like had tears in her eyes, and she's like, I'm ready. I'm sick of being here, and I'm sick of what I did, and I'm really, really sorry. You know, she was kind of sorry because she really wanted to go home, but I didn't feel that was like authentic on her part. But the moment that I actually said, okay, you know, we lifted the curse, I could feel it. What was so interesting is that this woman that I worked on literally told me that. She said, you know what, I feel like a big weight has been lifted off of me. And today, when I was looking for parking spaces, I was able to find them instantly. Like, they automatically appeared. And things are starting to come to me. And I said, yeah, that's because the curse has been removed. So the next thing that happened, which was amazing, is I did send this woman, and I asked the child to help and the angels to help come in, and they did pull her up into heaven. As she was walking through the doorway to heaven, she turned around and looked back and looked at me and looked at all the damage she had done for over 300 years. And she said, I'm so sorry. I feel I feel bereaved that I caused this much damage just because I was so angry and I was so hurt about what happened to my daughter, and that nothing else mattered to me but her. She was the light of my life. And I said, see? So I said, this is a really good lesson for you, isn't it? In any future lives that you choose to have and reincarnate, just remember that if somebody causes you harm, if you try to turn around and cause them more harm, it's going to fire back on you. So always remember that. So that was a really good enlightening, and I shared this with this person. I shared what I saw, and she said, you know what really trips me out about you? She said, the thing that blew my mind is when you talked to me that day and told me that you literally had seen this woman with the child, because I had seen that too in my dreams. And she didn't tell me that till afterwards. And she said, in the necklace, that totally freaked me out. She's like, oh my God, you saw the whole thing. And she was like, wow, you're just amazing. I don't know how you do this, but it's amazing. And I just said, because I live on all dimensions. I'm not just a one-dimensional being. I'm a multi-dimensional being. So I can go to all these dimensions and change and shift everything. So that was like one example, of a poor soul, a lost soul, that her anger and bereavement caused her own prison here on earth, and being stuck here, and caused so much pain to like, who knows how many generations, maybe 4, 5, 6 generations. But once we lifted this curse, it was amazing, because this woman basically, I told her, I said I was going to lift the curse 7 generations going back, and you're not going to have it in future generations. Like if you have children, or your children, there's no more of it. It's gone. And she basically that day told me, she said, I totally feel free from this. I don't have this anymore. And then we talked about some other things that I won't discuss. I just wanted to discuss this case with you guys here, so you get an idea of how this works, and that if we're in a state of aggression towards entities, if we're in a state of, in a state of hate and aggression, and we want to attack what's attacking us, I find that the path of least resistance, instead of trying to attack these things that are attacking us, if you become neutral, they can't attack you. So that's the other thing that we can discuss. In another segment, we'll talk about becoming neutrality. And the Buddhists really talk about that. Emptying your mind is really about neutrality. They have certain words that they use that we Westerners are not really used to. So anyhow, that's just one case out of many cases that have come to me lately that have been pretty amazing cases that are connected, literally connected to ghost entities that damn themselves by damning others. How interesting is it? So I that's like food for thought for you guys. I want you guys to kind of think about that, and kind of have a sense about that and how that works. So let's talk now about the experiences that I've had helping people that have implants. Yes, you heard me right. Implants have been happening for a very, very, very long time on this earth, and the government has gotten smart enough, not the government, I should really say the secret government, but they all have their dirty hands in it, okay, that they've actually created through their chemical poisoning that they're doing with the skies. And people think that they're contrails from the planes. They're not. They're actually chemical poisoning. They're actually playing around with nanotechnologies that do become implanted in our bodies through our breathing or drinking, and things that we cannot avoid. And I deal with that a lot. I deal with physical, nanotechnology that's been implanted in people's bodies, and removing that from our own government and the shadow government, as I like to call it, the puppet masters, if you like, that are like really trying as hard as they can to thwart all kinds of things. They see us as their slaves. Well, we're not. Far from it, but you'll learn your lesson. So like I was talking about before, if we try to attack them, I throw hate back at them, you're gonna, in some way, it's gonna affect you more than them. But if we stay neutral, and that's how I do most of my work, is in neutrality, then I'm able to remove this stuff fairly quickly. So there's that kind of technology, the nanotechnology, that gets implanted in us through breathing the air or drinking the water and even the food, all the way through to, this ET, extraterrestrial technology that comes from lower level intelligence is what I'm going to call it, like extraterrestrial intelligence. It really is lower level, but that's how we're all learning. And the variety and flavors of ET technology that I've encountered is vast, like today was one of my toughest cases that I've encountered yet, with a gentleman that I do a lot of sessions with, because I'm able to get rid of all his pain, and I'm usually able to get rid of entities and do like these extractions very easily and effortlessly. But this is a tough case. I will crack it. No question about it, is what I told him. I said I will crack it and remove it. I'll guarantee him that. And if I need to bring in higher level ET beings to channel through me to do it, I will. And we're going to have another session in another day or two. But definitely whatever, and this is the tough part with most people that are holding on to this energetic frequency. I try to explain this to this guy, but unfortunately he doesn't really get it. He doesn't get that the only reason why he's having these experiences is because his frequency is vibrating at a low enough frequency that they can do that to him. So in a way, we could let's talk about for these cases where we become victimized, right? We become the victim energy and they become the perpetrator. So if I was dealing with somebody that was a little bit more awake and more aware, I could enlighten this person and say, hey, look, these entities and this technology and these implants cannot get implanted in you unless you have that vibration of being a victim, okay? If you carry that vibrational frequency of victimhood, guess what? It's going to get attached to you. If you were in a neutral state where you don't have that victim mentality, they would have to find another subject to implant it into. But because you have that victim energy frequency, it does get implanted in you. And then he comes to me to remove it. So it's important for you guys to realize that that's basically one of your best defenses, is to become neutral. To become a neutral wave, vibrational wave frequency that they can't be attached to, that they can't attach their technology, okay? And it even happens to me where they attach different technologies, and then I'm able to it's a slippery slope for them because it just slips right out of me, So let's talk about these ETs and how they're causing all this stuff, causing all this implantation of devices, and what the purpose of it is. Well, one is, like I said, the base element is energetically you have to be in that victim mode, okay, in order for them to attach it to you. Why do they do that? Very simply, basically for observation purposes, on the one hand, and control. So they're the same kind of like what I would call Lizzies that they call them. I don't like to call them that, but they're more like Dracos, Draconians that have been controlling the planet for, since the time of Atlantis. Actually, since the time frame that they've been here, really controlling the planet, and they're really amping it up because they know their time is up. Just like they did it to the Anunnaki, the gentle giants, as I like to call them, and the Avatar group calls them that. They did the same thing to the gentle giants. They kicked them out because they were the gentle giants' slaves. Now, your human race that's been your slave for so long is turning on you. So, it's your turn to vacate, to get out, exit stage left out of Earth, because this is no longer going to be tolerated. And it is coming to that point where there's going to be no return for you, you Lizzies that are here on this planet and that can hear me. And I am pretty neutral about it because they have something to teach us, right? They have a lot to teach us. In a way, they are our greatest teachers about us and our powers and how we have infinite power. And because of their minuscule, and I will say that, power-hungry, reptilian miniature brain that they function from that is so small, and so it's like such a, like, you guys just live in a box, you know, because your main thing is to dominate, control, manipulate, you know, and actually control everything. That's what's going to be your demise. You know, it is your demise, and we're quickly approaching that. Especially on this planet, you know, you probably are going to have to go back to another planet where it's going to be permitted and allowed. No longer is this planet going to put itself in jeopardy, and that these games are going to continue to be played. Mark my words. I've already seen it, and I've had precognitive visions of this, and that it is going to come to a fold. So there's that kind of entities, ET entities, you know, and these implants are related to that. They're related to, they see people as chattel or cattle, let's just call it that, and they feel like they can do their experiments on us and use us and abuse us. Well, in these physical bodies, yeah, you could have somewhat of an effect. In some people more than others, and also your electromagnetic poison that you've spread throughout the planet like a cancer, which is your cell phone towers and your cell phones, and also your satellites and all that, is literally like the cancer on the planet, you know. But it's going to come to an end as well, like all things shall. Like I was having a discussion with one of my dear friends, Neil, and he was saying that this is basically, you know, Saturnian. This planet is pretty much overtaken by this. And I said, well, you know, the thing that he doesn't realize and doesn't see is that all things change constantly, everlastingly, and nothing remains the same, and so shall this. So, like I tell people, if they're suffering and they're in pain and suffering, this too shall change, because everything does. Nothing stays the same, and these beings that try to control this, it's non-controllable, especially with what's occurring with our planet and being floating in the photon belt and getting closer to galactic center of the Earth, getting closer to galactic center, which is its origin of where it was created from. The more we get back to that center, the more this planet is going to go back into sync. Like literally go back into sync of its original blueprint. And its original blueprint, I got news for you guys, didn't have this cancer on the planet. It didn't have these entities, you know, from the astral to the ET entities to the malevolency that's here. And that's why I feel like we're going through the eye of the needle right now, and things are so overwrought with literally rotting people that have been overtaken by these entities, whether they're these, they're the reticuli to the Lizzie or the Dracos. Okay, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because all this is going to go back to its original true divine blueprint, and there's nothing you guys can do about it except to go to another planet to pilfer and pillage and destroy, because that's all you know how to do. And this planet is coming back to its center, so good luck with that one. You know, for those of you that are the peons for this reptoid, you know, and I am going to say it, that lives underneath the Vatican, you know, and that is manipulating and mind controlling all the priests, the priestly caste that is in the Vatican, and besides that, I mean, they have to have a propensity for that, right? It's not like they're victims, you know. They want that power, that control, so they're part of that. So the way I see it is they're operating under that dominion of what I call the parasympathetic. That's the positive side of the reptilian brain that we all have. The negative side is the control, domination, hate. That really is like where you're operating from, and your time is coming to an end as well on this planet. Any religious faction that is extreme like that and wants to control and dominate other beings here, other conscious beings, your time is coming to an end as well. You could play all those games and continue to do your machinations, but it'll be on another planet. It certainly won't be on this one. And that time is coming to a close for all of you. So to get back, that got me off to another complete tangent, but it is affecting the planet. You know, all these entities have affected this planet in a very drastic way. And I do feel like, it's kind of like, I do know this, okay? So the pendulum is now swinging to the extreme evil, right? What we would call evil, to the extreme, like the pinnacle of evil, of the misuse of power, of distorted power, okay? Because that's really what it is. And it will swing back, okay? And that's what we're going to start seeing, like in the next, hopefully in the next few years, but it just in the next 10 to 20 years, we are going to see that pendulum swing to the golden age. And your time will be over here on the planet. And there's people like me that are speaking out about it. There's Santos Bernacci. There's Kate of Gaia. I mean, there's a whole bunch of us that are awake starseeds, that are awake beings that are in a human body. We are much more than that. George Kavasilas, I can mention a whole bunch of them that are pretty much, we're all on the same wavelength, and we know the game, you know, and we came here to play. And in some ways, you guys have been great, like, you have been the great catalysts for this planet, and you are catalyzing the planet. Not in your favor. I will tell you that. It's definitely not going to go in your favor like you did for the last 5,000 or, well, since Atlantis, so it's probably like more like 25, 30,000 years. That time is coming to an end, and the pendulum is swinging back to what I call the pre-golden age, where we're going to live in a pretty amazing planet until it goes into the golden age, and then it will be its pristine self again. You know, and then hopefully the planet's consciousness will want to remain there and go to higher levels of ascension, higher level of consciousness, so that this never comes back and plagues this planet again. But I feel like, you know, the higher purpose of all this is really, you know, to catalyze. You know, to catalyze and prod the cattle that is asleep, the sheeples that are asleep, that hopefully you're listening to me. You know, to catalyze you into a state of awakeness and awareness. And what do you want to create on this planet? What do you want this planet to be? You know, there's more and I won't go into that, you know, into the death, destruction, syndrome and cancer that's here. We need to align ourselves to co-create a divine, beautiful planet that is so rich, you know, in all kinds of, and that it's free to everybody that's here, because truly that's how it started. The divine blueprint of planet Earth was one of absolute everything. You know, you lived off the water, the air, the food, plentiful, way overly abundant, and that's where this planet is heading to. So for those of you that are still stuck in that paradigm of wanting, like the guy from, what is it, PepsiCo? I don't think it was PepsiCo. It's another large company like that said water shouldn't be free. Water should be owned by them. What's that, babe?
Nestle.
Yeah, Nestle. Come on. You know, go to another planet where you can own all the water. This planet originally, and it will continue to be that way, and it is going to transform it into that. Water is free. It's water, air, electricity, free energy. All of it is free. You guys have been the cancer and the poison on this planet that's going to be removed. And mark my words about that. You will be either end up removed, or you can get on your spaceships and go bye-bye. You know, and go to another planet and do your machinations on another planet. But I'm telling you that the populace here, and they're waking up by not the millions, the billions, once they do, oh boy, you guys are going to have the same thing that happened to you guys that you did to the Anunnakis. And I'm talking about the Dracos. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that kind of covers pretty much the platform, you know, from entity removal all the way through to ET, implants, extractions. Why do they do that? Because they want to control everybody. Because they want to remain, intact. You know, they want to remain like unhurt, and they want to remain in power, and that's really why this is all going on. So I hope this show definitely enlightened you guys and awakened you to a lot of things. And if you have any of these issues and need support and help with that, and I know it was so cute how Ascended Master Saint Germain the other day that I was channeling him. I don't know when they channel. I'm not really present here when they channel, and it was so cute how he was like telling everybody to come work with me and come see me, and that I'm doing, like he said, I think he said phenomenal work. She's doing amazing, phenomenal work, and I'm very grateful to him. He's one of my biggest mentors, and I just love him so much, and I just want to thank him for that. And I want to thank you guys that support me, support this radio show. And for those of you guys that are listening in that have never heard about this, and you want help with this, like I said, I could help you from a one-person situation to a family, to a house, to a hotel, that is haunted, that has, you know, poltergeist, whatever the case may be, all the way through to ET kind of technologies that also affect people in a big way, and I'll help you transmute it. So come visit me on my website, sonicnova.net. And check it out. There's a lot of information there about all this stuff, about star seeds. I don't really post information about this because there's plenty of that out on the internet. And for those of you guys that call yourself ghost hunters, maybe you want to rename yourselves and change your name so that you don't get attacked by what you supposedly go there and clean up, you know. And take a new approach to this because we are going back to the center of this galaxy, to the solar system of this galaxy. That's why all these anomalies are happening right now. That's why this is happening on this earth, and that's why we're encountering all this. So with this, I am going to close out. I know I do an hour show, and I was a little bit late today, but since I don't have an audience yet, and I'm building it, so be it. In terms of listening to my shows, there's a lot of people that come and listen to the show and play it on their iPods and play it on their different devices. So I'm going to close it out for tonight. I'm going to thank everybody for listening and continue to listen because I'm going to bring you more and more amazing information, awakening, enlightening you, and I guess we'll see you next week. Standard hours for the show are 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And for those of you guys that are off on another part of the planet, just figure it out. I'm actually, Ashland, Oregon is where we are sending this through the airwaves. So you're talking about western part of the United States. With that, I thank you all for listening to the show. I hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Broadcasted, and they will come.
You're listening to Surfing the Cosmic Waves Radio. Time to listen in to your host,
Just
Sonic Nova, coming at you live from Spreaker Internet Radio, where we put a new spin on spiritual development and paranormal activities.